Yes, yes, we have a great domestic, well, international fight. Domestically, if you're in the UK, but everywhere else, international fight. And I want to say this: UK fans are great. In my professional career, some of my favorite moments came from the UK and some of the meets that I had over there. Love the people, love the energy that they bring over there, and they show their respect to their respective sports. At least that's my opinion. Look, this is going to be a good fight. It's not being talked about because it's in the other part of the world, but it is a fight that we should be talking about because these are two both great quality fighters, right? Look, in this video, real quick, I'm just going to be talking about who I think is going to win, but give a little bit more context and a breakdown behind why I think this individual is going to win. Let's break it down. Let's talk about Craig Richards, right? Good, solid fighter, aka Spider. He's a thinker. He's a counterpuncher. He has good punching power in both hands, long reach, wide wingspan. And I think that is going to give his opponents a lot of problems because sometimes you don't know where the punches are coming from, right? Until he gives that stern overhand right hand and it comes and it hits you from angles you didn't anticipate. And I think that's what makes him dangerous is because he's a little bit of a tricky fighter. His style is a little bit different, and you just never know how he's going to come from attack because he has the ability and the skill set to attack you from different angles. And when he connects, sometimes he has a tendency to swing with a looping overhand right and kind of leap straight forward. And it kind of makes him susceptible to being countered, right? But if it connects, it does damage. But if it doesn't connect, he gets countered, uppercut, and something like that happens, and it kind of flusters him a little bit, right? In his recent fight against Merrick Madija, I thought he rebounded well, and he made good adjustments from his previous fight before when he fought one of the champions of that division, Dimitri Bivol. We saw what Bivol just did to Canelo Alvarez and the success that he had, right? In that fight against Merrick, he used his jab more. He didn't really use his jab as much against Bivol, but he used his jab more in his last fight. He threw more punches. He was patient. And when he had Merrick hurt in the sixth round, he moved with urgency. And I think that is one thing that Spider is going to have to do in this one. Sometimes there's a tendency to come out and start a little slow, a little hesitant, doing more thinking than actually boxing and hitting. And I think that is what Spider is going to have to do here, right? Because against Bivol, he started very slow, and I thought he gave a lot of rounds simply because he didn't increase his work rate. He was a little hesitant and reluctant to let the hands go, to take the risk, to trust in his skill set, right? Because we know Bivol is a great fighter, right? But Spider has to believe that as well too. And I think he just gave a little bit too much respect to Dimitri Bivol, and he lost the earlier rounds. Now he did find himself a little bit later in the rounds and started letting his hand go and became more confident in the ring. But by then it was kind of too late. So he can't have that same level of lackadaisical attack when it comes to fighting Joshua Buatsi, because I think Buatsi is going to come out and he's going to be the aggressor. So I think in this fight, Spider has to come out in the first couple rounds and do things a little bit different. I'd love to see him come out how he did against Shaq and Pitters, where he knocked him down in the fourth round, right? He took some calculated risks in that fight. He let his hands go early because he, like I said, he does have good power in both hands. He has a good uppercut that caught Bivol and caught Merrick in the sixth round and took him out, right? And what I want to see in this fight for Spider is just to see more aggression. I want to see more of that come forward style, hiding behind your jab so you can set up that 1-2 combination that he likes to do. But I just want to see him move with a lot more urgency. We know boxing is technical. We know you have to think your way out of situations. We know we have to make adjustments with each round. But sometimes when we are thinking too much into what we are going to do, we don't actually make those movements. And especially in boxing, where you can fluster your opponent with volume, with work rate. We saw what Errol Spence did in his last fight against Dennis Ugas and what volume did with counterpunching. If he can increase his work rate with his precision that he does have in the early rounds, I think in the middle and the end of the championship rounds, I think it will be able to give him a chance to maybe knock out Buatsi, or at least put him in a position on cards, on points, to be able to have an edge or have it close. So I want to see him come out. I want to see him aggressive. I want to see him take calculated risk And most importantly, I want to see him move with a sense of urgency, because I don't want to see him down on the points just based on the fact that he didn't let his hands go. Let's talk about Joshua Buatsi, right? The Olympic bronze medalist, won a bronze medal in 2016 at the same Olympic Games that I was in. Go figure. 15 fights, 13 by the way of knockouts. So we know what he's on. Right? We know he packs a punch. Every fighter has pop in their hands, but there are other fighters that God sometimes sprinkles a little bit of extra sugar and spice into their mix, right? And they just have natural punching power. And Joshua Buatsi is that. His toughest fight to date, maybe not on paper, but physically, when you look at his stature and the style that he brings, was his recent one against Palatniks, right? That's a great sign, because as your career goes on, right, you want to make sure that the level of opposition that you are facing continues to get higher and higher and better and better and better, right? And I think in his last fight, he got up against someone who gave him a challenge, someone that he didn't just knock out in the first 5 rounds, somebody that stood up to a bunch of his punches, even though he hit him down and took him out later in the rounds, right? We also got to see another thing as well, too. We got to see what he was like as the fight going into the championship rounds. In the championship rounds, the longer the fight goes, right, we question how is the fighter's conditioning. We question the adjustments that they make. We question their punching power as the fight goes on. We question their punch resistance. We question how do they handle pressure when the clock is against them, right? When they're tired and exhausted, right? And they want to get out the ring because it's been a crucial and grueling fight. How do they respond in the face of adversity? And Joshua Buatsi, he answered that call. So you know he's confident. You know he believes he can win. You know he has the tool set, right? He has a good jab, a nice, quick, stiff jab, right? And he comes out effortlessly. He likes to come forward and impose his stature on his opponents. He's well built. He's strong, right? He goes to the body. And in a division like this, where we often see fighters headhunting so much, we lose track of going to the body and taking each round to chop your opponents down so you can land the cleaner shots, your more effective shots. You go to the body, you chop them down, they drop the hands. And so now the face becomes open and the upper body becomes more susceptible to getting rocked. So I'm expecting him to go to the body in this fight. But I think he does a good job of picking his spots. He has good shot selection. But sometimes when he throws his jab and some of his punches, he doesn't really do a good job of covering himself up, right? His head movement is a little bit stiff. I'd like to see it more fluid. I'd like to see him have his head on a swivel. I'd like to see him know his angles a little bit better. He has no problem coming forward, right? But what if he's fighting someone like Spider, who does have quick reflexes, who does have a long wingspan, who can throw that jab out there, right? I just like to see Buatsi with the level of anticipation of what is going to come, even if it doesn't come, right? But for him to stick and move and to be able to know that at any moment you have to be careful of what Spider can do with that wingspan. But one thing I do like about Buatsi, right, is the moment that he enters the ring, he's very focused. He never takes his eyes off his opponent. He continues to come forward. And we saw that in the 4th round against Palatniks, right, where he started landing his power shots and started chopping him down. But what I didn't like, as I said before, was his head movement. So we have to be very conscious of that. And I'm sure Spider and his team, they saw that too. Buatsi is quick. He's powerful, right? He throws his hands with bad intentions and is not afraid, right, to take the fight wherever it's going to go. I was watching the face-off against these two, and he said, wherever it is that we're going, that's where we're going. So that's the level that he is on, and it does help when you have an eraser in that right hand that can cover up your mistakes if you are making those mistakes. But Spider is a smart fighter, and I know he's going to capitalize off of the mistake that Joshua Buatsi does, right? So I think this fight is going to come down to who's more patient, who is going to take more calculated risks at the beginning, but also in the middle rounds, right? Buatsi is younger, but Richard has more experience. Buatsi is a bigger puncher. Buatsi hasn't lost, right? But Spider lost, but he's been in the ring with one of the best in the division, Dmitry Bivol. Experience versus youth. Both are very good fighters in their own right. Both have their strengths and their skill set. But I have Joshua Buatsi winning. I think he's going to bring more work rate at the beginning. I think he's going to let his hands go, let the jab go. He's going to hide behind the jab and he's going to go to the body. I think he's going to land the cleaner shots. So I'm going to go with the work rate, the volume, and what Buatsi is going to bring to the table, especially in the beginning rounds, right? I really liked what I saw in the later rounds for him when he fought Bulatniks, right? The punching power was still the same. He was still coming forward and he looked like his conditioning and his cardio was at peak form. And so it's because of that I think that Joshua Buatsi is going to win this one. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. It possibly could, but I could also see this one going to the cards as well too. But let me know your thoughts. Who do you have winning this fight? How do you think it's going to go down? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you've been watching this long, definitely subscribe to the channel and we'll see you next time.